Go up there quickly. Good afternoon, Tony Dattino here, founder of the USA Memory Championship and the president of Dattino Consulting Group. And as you can see, my boundaries or my surrounding areas have changed. It is no longer sunny Florida. I traveled up here to New York, as you can tell by a little bit of the warmer wear that I have. And it's really where it all began for me. And when I say it all began for me, where did it all start? And one of the resources that I have, and one of the first things I learned in terms of starting, was when Tony Buzan challenged me one day to show him how I read. And that seemed kind of weird at the age I was at. I certainly wasn't a senior, but it was about 30 years ago. And he handed me a book and said, "Show me how you read." And I'm looking at him like, is this like a trick question? He's going to give me a book and he shows me, going to show me how to read. No, how do you read to ensure your memories are absorbing what you're reading and you have comprehension of it so that you can use this information? And by the way, you realize we're on the verge of an information explosion as internets and broadcasts and Facebooks and things are coming down the road, things that are going to spread information to people faster than ever. They're on their way down the road, and they're just going to blow us away. And so those that learn how to absorb this and then use it are going to be the winners as we go into the next century, because they will have the knowledge and they will have the intellectual capital up in here, and it all starts with how your memory works. And so off we go to the library and the books that I've saved that have been so dear and important to me. Here we go with the Speed Reading Book by Tony Buzan. It's the new edition, right? He's had several editions. I've had them. He's autographed them for me. To my best friend and colleague, the amazing Tony Dattino. Thanks for all the magnificent work you are doing to help bring memory and brain skills to the world. From Tony Buzan. A treasure. One of the things that hit me with what Tony was doing, where's the book? I just had it here. There it is. Tony's book. Head First. 10 ways to tap into your natural genius. 10 ways to tap into your natural genius. The biggest name in memory. Did you know that you lose 1% of your brain? In Head First, Tony Buzan, best-selling author and inventor of mind maps, shows you how to use the rest. These were some of the books that got me started. Well, subsequent to that, I had the pleasure of writing a book with Tony Buzan, The Brain Smart Leader, where I was taking these memory techniques and tips and sharing with leaders so that they could make a difference with their employees and with the goals and the missions and the things that their companies were all trying to go about and execute. So I wrote 2 books with him. The second one was my book, The Grassroots Leaders. And so looking at Tony Buzan and Tony Dattino with Richard Israel, I mean, this is like, these are treasures. These are special additions to me that are really in my permanent library, which I still have bunches of books downstairs. And then for the Memory Championship, the one that really did a whole lot for the world of memory, and the USA Memory Championship, was a book, Moonwalking with Einstein. And Josh Four comes to the competition one year to cover it for Slate, and was challenged by the memory athletes to think, "Oh, do you think this was so easy?" And Josh, at that time was a little bit more of had a little bit of tongue-in-cheek humor in him, and so was challenged to compete in the memory championship. So he went and learned some skills, practiced 15 minutes, 3 days a week, and the next thing he's doing is he's writing a book, The Art and Science of Remembering Everything. by Josh Four, and the title of the book was Moonwalking with Einstein, because he used that as one of his techniques that he had learned from one of the mental athletes to compete. And wouldn't you know, he comes into the competition the next year. He's in the final 7, gets all the way down to the final 3, and ultimately wins the memory championship. And so he writes the book, Moonwalking with Einstein, and mentions it about in the USA Memory Championship, which I guess this has been a best-selling book. It still holds. It's still being published, and people are still buying it. And they come, "Are you the Tony Datino that Josh Four wrote about in the book?" And yeah, I am. It's like, wow, you're the guy, right? And it's like an interesting perspective. But what Josh did was with the book and the stories he told, and the simplicity of the importance of memory, and how we're kind of dumbing down our brains with the age of technology and iPhones, right? We have iPhones now that we carry around with us, and we look for things on the iPhones and directions and phone numbers and places that we're going, or a to-do list or notes and rememberings. What we're doing is it's an interesting experiment of dumbing down our brains. And I say dumbing down our brains in a sense of not utilizing that which we have up in here, which is, how do I remember directions to a place? Boy, where would we be today without navigation systems? How do I remember the certain dates? If I didn't have a date monitor on my phone, or an alarm to wake me up on it, or how to get directions, or how to ask Siri for different information that we need at a given point in time, and it gets pulled right up. So why cyclopedias anymore? Why have dictionaries when all you do is have an iPhone that carries this vast amounts of data? I know somebody told me once that worked at Apple and compared it to my day and age, and 360 computers were filling up a whole floor of a building on Park Avenue. And now it says this one little iPhone surpasses everything that whole floor of computers would do on a building you had on Park Avenue. So it's amazing in terms of what technology has done, but here's the technology that creates it all. And the question always becomes, how do we maintain our brain function? What are some of the things that we can learn and do to keep that creative mind going, to keep the things that we love and dear to us, remembering people's names, remembering information about people. And so in 1997, I started the USA Memory Championship. And what's been amazing about that is folks like Josh came along, never realizing that they could do more with their brains than they ever thought possible. And in some cases won, in some places got to the finals, but in all cases taught themselves that they could, in fact, learn memory skills if they wanted to first believe that they could. Second of all, were willing to learn what the skills were, and then the third was to practice. And what they've been able to prove to themselves is their memory's not fixed. They're not stuck with it at birth, and therefore it is what it is for the rest of their lives. In fact, as you get older, you can continue to learn, and you can develop and grow these skills. And it's amazing what I've seen people do. And it is absolutely eye-opening for people when they come to the competition and see it, and they walk away with like, wow, this is amazing. Like, everybody should be doing this. And so in our USA Memory Championship site, we finally put together, through Michael Datino leaving his work behind at Disney, to better improve the world on a broader scale of skills and mental faculties of people worrying about their own mental cognitive fitness and health. Michael took the 20 years of experience we've had, and he's assimilated it into a course called USA, under the USA Memory Championship website, a course called Maximum Memory Mastery. So the Maximum Memory Mastery has taken the best of 23 years of what we've learned and what we've read, what we hear about from the Tony Buzan era all the way up to the Josh Four and to the Jim Carroll era. And we've added things to it that make it much more interactive and much more appealing to a broader audience, so that as people are observing and watching it, they can walk away with the same confidence that they too can improve their memory. Given the belief, the right teacher, and it can be a book, then the practicing and then proving it to themselves. Proving it to themselves, and then from there they can decide if they'd like to have some fun and compete in a little local competition of their own, or if they would just want to come to the USA Memory Championship and get a seat. People ask me all the time, what are the qualifications or the qualifying events for it, and we do have virtual events that we now use with Memory League and Lumosity, where we put people through a series of activities to qualify for who gets to come to the stage and compete in live events. And if all goes well, we'll be doing our preliminaries in July and our finals in September, and we'll have our 24th USA Memory Championship under our belt. Well, I am here in New York. I'll be here for about a month, and hopefully all goes well with the trip that I have here in New York. And beyond back here Monday, right? We've got a weekend of Super Bowl with the Chiefs and the Eagles, and we'll see how that all works out. But until then, have a nice weekend. I'm up here in the north. I hope the weather doesn't get too cold. It was a nice welcoming day today in the 60s. And just looking at the weather, I hope that the worst part would be snow. So I'm hoping, I am not used to scraping or shoveling snow anymore. So I've just enjoyed living in the Windermere, Florida area for a little bit too long now. So just praying that we don't have any snow here for the next few weeks. With that, have a great weekend, and may your team win, though I'm not sure. The Giants are not in the Super Bowl this year, so I'm not sure which team I'm rooting for, but I'll watch the game just to keep up with it, because everybody will be talking about it come Monday, and I don't want to be left out of that conversation. So hopefully there'll be some memorable plays that people will be talking about for years to come.